So, born in Trinidad, Rastarella is a world music event producer, an empowerment speaker, and host on Nottingham's #1 urban radio station, 975 Gemma FM. Rastarella is also a mother of 3 daughters, a son mom, and married. And if you ever get to meet Rastarella, you will never forget it. Launching her signature event Cultural Vibrations in 2009 at Hockley Hustle, and founding the Nottingham Global Roots Festival in 2015, 2024 marks her 15th year in business. It's a massive milestone, which is as a grassroots promoter who has consistently showcased music from around the world at numerous venues, events and festivals. So this is Rastarella.
What motivates me is my children, first and foremost. I think the children are the future. So, if you can try and make every day, every year a bit better for the future generations, I think that's my greatest motivation. My own life experiences motivate me to kind of, again, challenge and change the narrative of certain things. So, there's a lot of motivation in there, but I think most of all, you need to be, I'm passionate about positive change.
So what were you doing in your work before promoting events?
I actually wasn't working. I was a full-time mom before I started Cultural Vibrations in 2009, which was an accidental fall into promotions. But previous to that, I'd had my youngest daughter, Abisola, who's now 15 years old. She's going to be 16. So Cultural Vibrations is 15, Abisola is 16. So I was a full-time mom to my daughter.
Wow, okay, well, I've been to a lot of your events and you have signature catchphrases, you get the audience to participate. One of them is, unity is easy when you look within, not at the skin. So what compelled you to write that?
What compelled me to write that is the whole essence of Cultural Vibrations, Unity Through Music, is to encourage different cultures to come together through live music. And when you think about the stereotypes and sometimes the presumptions we have of each other, I want to break that. It's a bit like Bob Marley's One Love, you understand? So for me, if you just take time out of your day, it doesn't have to be a music event, any kind of regular interaction with anybody, look beyond what you think they look like or who you think they might be. So that's it, look within, not at the skin.
Facts. You fly the flag for Caribbean and African music and culture, and make it inclusive and accessible for other people in the most respectful way. So how can other promoters learn from you?
I think in regards to learning, you've got to be true to yourself and what your passions are. You understand? So for me, I do me. I can only do me. I can only do Cultural Vibrations. I can only do Rastarella. So you know what I mean? So for me, my passion is world music. My passion is bringing different kinds of cultures together. My passion is representation. So for me, in regards to how other promoters would like to be inspired, is do you, and do you as authentically as you can.
Well, talking of which, you're a black woman from Trinidad.
Yes, I am.
You've broken a lot of perceived barriers and you've helped a lot of people get into spaces and venues that they might not feel like they had access to or were welcome at. I remember you even saying at the Maze, there's no colour code. Everybody's welcome. Can you talk about your experience over the years navigating these lines?
I think, as I said, I fell into promotions via Hockley Hustle, my first event in 2009, and that was predominantly to host a venue to showcase world music and music of black origin. So in a way I had a step up from the beginning, and then I created Cultural Vibrations as a name. And I think throughout the years, as you navigate around Nottingham, you would see all these spaces and all these places, but then I would never see people who kind of look like me or sound like me, which is going to be rare anyway, to be fair. But I'm thinking, why can't I put on an event in there? So it was never been for me barriers, it's more so of being inspired. How can we change the scene? How can we kind of put on events, put on lineups that would encourage people to come, leave their house, whether they're black, brown, white or pink or whatever, and come into these spaces that we as taxpayers are paying for at the bottom line, as on top of that, and as well, unity. Nottingham, for me, when I look around Nottingham, it's a multicultural city. You understand? And there'll be people who are sitting on a bus together who would never ever talk to each other. Put some music on, put them in a space, mix up your lineup, and you'll be surprised what can grow from that. And I've had people say that they've had their friendships, they've created their friendships coming along to one of my events. And just, as I said, it's a one love thing, it's a unity thing. So for me, the challenges have been more so it's a vibe thing. If your spirit don't take to a place or spirit don't take to a venue, or you no longer feel that that's for you, move on. There's always going to be bigger and better. And my biggest thing is go where you feel celebrated, not where you're tolerated. So if you go where you're celebrated and people get what you're doing, doors will keep on opening for you. And I've been able to establish great relationships with various venues across Nottingham and other creatives, because just be yourself. People are, this is it. Take it or leave it. And they're either going to like you or not like you. And if they don't like you, don't worry yourself.
By doing that, you've helped other people enter these spaces. Like, you've hooked me up, and you make people feel welcome. So how have things evolved in your time since you've started promoting? How have you seen that?
I think in 2009, even though there were black musicians here, there and everywhere, it was a predominantly white scene. You understand? And I think I will say it's now very seasoned and marinated with music from around the world, and people feel that they can go and take up space. And I think that's very important, that any human being feels as if they're welcomed, and they can, and if there's a space there, take it up. You understand? So for me, over 15 years, what I've seen within Nottingham's creative scene and music scene is that people have become more open-minded, people have been made to feel more welcomed. The barriers are slowly being broken down. Less gatekeepers, which I think is very, very important, because I think if I'm more about community over competition. We can work together. There's enough space, there's enough talent, there's enough creativity for everybody. So for me, that has always been my thing, and I've seen that happen in Nottingham, that we are evolving as a city, especially when it comes to music and creativity.
You set clear boundaries and how you expect the vibes to be both on and off the stage, and you're passionate about cultural unity and everybody being welcomed at your events. So how do you continue to spread the message of one love, and have you encountered any resistance?
Yeah, well, I'm very straightforward, as you know. I'm a very straightforward person, and I believe in boundaries, and I believe as a promoter, as an organizer, as a programmer, you set the tone for your events. You understand? And my tone has always been unity. People are fed up hearing it after 15 years when I say unity is easy, cultural vibrations. I haven't shifted. I haven't shifted or tried to bend to please other people. So for me, anybody who gets on board my event, if you're new to them, this is the script. You know, we don't play certain music that's derogatory, that's kind of bashing anybody. We're here to have a good time because we're not around for a long time, so let's all get together and have a good time. You understand? So for me, I haven't shifted in 15 years. So by now, people should know what cultural vibrations vibes is all about.
Yeah. And like, being a promoter can take you on a roller coaster. So how do you manage your own well-being inside that roller coaster?
I think in regards to me, because I'm a family woman and I have my three daughters, one lives in Finland. Being a Sen mom, I have a special needs daughter. Being with my husband 19 years, it's very important not to let your work, whatever you do, consume you. You have to have a life outside work. The same way my husband doesn't come home and talk about production of vegetables, I don't go home and talk about events. You have to separate yourself. And what I've known over the 15 years, mental health is a priority. You have to have that self-care. You have to take that time out, have an identity outside of your events, and do what you do, but it's a job. Do it because you want to do it, not because you think you have to do it.
How does running a family and a business, how do they impact each other? How does your family influence how you run your business?
My eldest daughter, Sophia, who's 25, she helped me right at the beginning because I didn't know anything about making flyers, and she was making flyers for me when she was 11 years old, of my first flyers and everything, and coming to loads of events with me and everything. So for me, as a family woman, when I've gone into doing different events, the family aspect of having children enjoy music, that's been a big impact. A big inspiration for me is to incorporate families into the music scene, because when you think about music scene, sometimes, 15 years ago, whatever, a lot of people didn't have the children and whatever. Now, 15 years later, they are family people, and so for me, it's about balance. You have to balance. So when you're doing events, you can have the big people events, but also think about your community and also think about family and how everybody can benefit from your events, not just one particular pot of people.
And what about now you're working at Nottingham Trent University? So tell us a bit about your latest role.
Okay, so I'm a freelancer music promoter, but now I'm also the Global Roots music programmer for Nottingham Trent University. And that's essentially, before that, they'd only had classical music, and they want to season things up, you understand? So I've been able to program a really lovely set of events. We did a couple last year. I put reggae music at the University Hall as well, reggae music from Jamaica. I've since put traditional Indian music there, and we've got some amazing lineup coming up. We've got some jazz, we've got some kora, we've got some classical mixed with Indian. It's going to be amazing, and it's a really great role, I have to say, because it's programming. So they trust me. They trust my judgment of what I want to represent as global roots music at the Trent University. So it's been fab.
Fantastic. Well, talking of programming, you're at 975 Gemma FM.
Yes.
How did you become a radio host, and what does that role mean to you?
I was headhunted. I was asked by the boss if I would like to put on a show and train up as a broadcaster on 97.5 Kemet FM, and I was actually trained up by one of the original veterans of the station, Kevin Roach. He took time out of his life to teach me, because I was in my late 30s at this point, and to promote soca music, soca and calypso music, which, if you don't know, the music originates from Trinidad and Tobago. So I've been doing that now for 9 years, every Sunday, 4 till 5 p.m. I love it. It's an opportunity for me to showcase a different side of Caribbean music. Even though I love reggae music, soca and calypso music is a big influence, worldwide influence of music here in the world. Yeah,
and it has grown a lot.
Oh, definitely, and again, touching back on the music, 15 years ago people went into Afrobeats. Right. And all of a sudden now it's everywhere. You understand? So if we were hoping, fingers crossed, those Caribbean diaspora, that soca music will actually have, get the props that it deserves.
Can you tell us more about the empowerment speaking role that you've had?
I actually trained as a life coach in 2007, 2008, when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, and that was to do with my own personal life and what I'd overcome in my own personal life, and also wanted to help people. You understand? Because I think it's very important when you're going through your own journey and when you're healing or whatever. For me, I like to give back. So I decided to train as a life coach, and then put it on the back burner. 2018, I started to be asked to do my poetry, and then I kind of fell into empowerment speaking. And I do a lot of, when I get asked to do it, it's more about empowerment, confidence building, talking about my own life experiences, and just kind of being an inspiration, but it's not a textbook thing. It's a real life experiences I'm talking about.
Yeah, and has that influenced how you do your role as a promoter and a programmer?
Well, I think it goes hand in hand, because in anything like this, what we do, you have to have that confidence and self-belief anyway. You understand? And I think what I try to do when I do my empowerment talking is just give people the courage to be their authentic self, because I think that is a big deal, because so many times that we don't feel as if we're being our true selves. But I kind of say you can be your true self, and people will accept you, and those who don't, that's their problem, that's their loss.
Facts. Finally, is there anything you'd like to use this space to talk about?
Yeah, well, 15 years of Cultural Vibrations, Unity True Music. I want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody who supported my events over the years. It's been a ride. Also, we've got loads of, well, not me, we have loads of upcoming events this year, and it's all going to be themed around Cultural Vibrations. I'm kind of putting global roots on a back burner, because I am a grassroots promoter, I am self-funded. So this year, it's all going to be about Cultural Vibrations. We've got Nottingham Poetry Festival coming up. I have a big concert coming up at the Playhouse. I have involved in the Green Hustle again, Hockley Hustle again, and loads of exciting things. And again, just doing me how I do me, and people, I hope they come out and support me. You can find me Cultural Vibrations, Unity True Music. That's on Facebook. At Rastarella, Rasta like pasta, Rasta and Rella like Cinderella. Rastarella, one word, on all social medias, on the TikTok and the Instagram and the Facebook. And yeah, man, yes.